All right, so this is the Algebra 1 review for Unit 1B. And so if you can see that this is variables on both sides. And so we're going to work this problem. Remember, our goal is to get the variables on the x's on one side and the numbers on the other. And so the equal sign is like a wall. And so if you remember, the wall here is like anytime we move something to the opposite side, we talked about a tennis court in my room. So anytime I hit the ball to the opposite side, I do the opposite of the sign. All right, so here we go. So the first thing, I like moving my numbers over. I like my letters over here. It's just the way it is. I mean, a lot of people like it that way. If you notice, that's a positive 13. This is not a negative 13. Negative is with the 4, because think about it, you go -4. You always say the word negative, so the sign comes first, then the number. So this is 13. So since we know it's 13, it's really positive 13. All right, so we're going to move the opposite. We're going to move 13 to the opposite side, right under the 1, and because we're putting our numbers together. So here we go. I'm going to say -13. So I'm actually subtracting 13 to both sides of that equal sign. And when I do this, and my 13 looks terrible, I didn't make it look very good at all. This is our zero pair. We talked about that. It means anything that adds up when there's a positive and a negative of the same number, then it adds up to be 0. Bring down your -4, +1, and a -13. So remember, when you do a positive and negative and you're adding and subtracting, okay, if the signs are different, you're going to subtract, so they're different. And I'm going to go with the sign with the biggest number. My number is 13 and it's negative, so I'm going to say -12. So I'm going to subtract the two together. All right, and so then I'm going to bring down my -x. All right, so now I'm going to move my -x over. So if I have a -x, I'm going to move it over here. So it's like playing tennis. I'm going to hit the ball this way, and then they're going to hit it this way, but we're not going to hit the same thing. So I hit the numbers. Now I'm going to hit the letters. So instead of a -x, we're going to say +x, +x. All right, -4 plus 1, that's really 1x. If I ask you how many x you see here, you see 1. So -1 plus a -4 plus 1 is a -3x. We're going to bring down our -12. These cancel out because it's a zero pair. All right, now look at your variable. What's your variable? Your variable is x. See it right here? What's being done to x? It's being multiplied by -3. What's the opposite of multiply? Divide both sides by -3. 3 divided by 3 is 1, and 1 times x is x. -3 goes into -12, or just think about how many times does 3 go into 12? You should say 4. Now we're doing the multiplying rule. So if you have multiplying, remember, this is why we've been practicing all this. Multiplying and a multiplying, it gives me a positive number. So this is going to be a +4. So my answer is 4. Now I can check it. I just want to let you know, I'm going to just check this one just so you can kind of see it. But if I check it, I'm going to put a 4 in wherever there's an x. And these two should balance out. This should be, hold on a second. Sorry, I had to go text here. This is not a 3, it's a 13. So anyway, 13 minus 16, that's a -3. And if you look over here, what's 1 minus 4? You should see that it's -3. So do the two sides equal? Yes, so my answer is correct. All right, that's the only time I'm going to check it. The rest of the time, I'm just going to kind of do it so we can kind of go along. All right, so number 2. Number 2, we have -7x minus 3x plus 2 equals a -8x plus, minus 8. All right, so you notice how this is a binomial. We talked about this in class. This is a binomial. This is a trinomial, but it's really not a trinomial. So if you see something that looks like it's a trinomial, look at it carefully, make sure there's something you can combine like terms. And so if you look, you have a -7x and you have a -3x. So those are like terms. So we can combine those. So I'm going to put -7, -3. The signs are the same, so we're going to add them. So it's a -10x. And I'm going to leave that in that color there so you can kind of see it. Plus 2 equals a -8x minus 8. Now they both look like they're binomials. All right. Again, we're going to play the little game. So I'm going to knock the negative of the 2 over to the other side. And because I'm doing it to the other side, I have to do the opposite to both sides. And I'm going to take the -2, and subtract it to both sides. This is 0 pair, -8 and -2 make -10. All right, now that I'm at the 8, now I hit the number over here. Now I'm going to make the 8 go over here. So it's a -8. So the opposite is +8. -10x plus 8 is a -2x equals, this is -10. All right, now I know you can see, you might well already know what the answer is, but we're still going to follow the process. So my variable is x, it's being multiplied by -2, so the opposite is divide both sides by -2. These twos cancel each other out, makes it 1. 1 times x is x. 2 goes into 10 5 times. They're both negative. So my answer is positive. So my answer is x plus 5. All right, number 3. All right, so here we go. They both look like they're a binomial. And so I'm going to move my 5 over, just like I always do. I know it's a +5, so the opposite is -5 to both sides. And so when I do this, you can see that it becomes 2x equals 2x plus 1. And now I'm going to hit so we move the 5 this way. And so now I'm going to hit the 2x to the other side. So I'm going to go 2x this side. This is a positive, so the opposite is -2x. And if you notice something here, look what happens. It ends up that I have a 0 pair on this side of the equal sign, which I have to put a 0 there. This is going to be 0 plus 1. And so I got 0 equals 1. Now, my variables are gone. This is a special case. We talked about this in class, special case. All right. The variables are gone. There's no variables. We just have two numbers. Ask yourself, does 0 equal 1? And you should say no. And if you say no, then it's no solution. That means no answer, no matter what number we pick for x, will not make the two equal, just like we did up here. We put 4. We got an answer for 4, so we put 4 on both sides, and we got the two sides to equal. Well, in this case, we can't pick a number. No number will work. No number will make the two sides equal. So the answer is no solution. We also say that it's also called an empty set, and we use the symbol with a 0 line going through it. So that is a no solution. Later on, you'll learn more about the no solutions when we get into it a little bit more into the year. Number 4. All right, so here we go again. We both looks like we have two binomials, so I'm going to hit the -20 to the other side. So instead of a negative, we got to do the opposite, because if I ever hit it to the opposite side, I have to do the opposite. And so if you look here, I'm going to bring down my -6 in. That's my 0 pair. Bring down my -2 in, and 20 and 4 make 24. All right, now I hit my numbers to the other side, or not my numbers, my letters to the other side. So I'm going to take my 2 in and hit it over here. Since it's a negative, I'm going to say +2 in, +2 in. It's -6 plus 2. Now think about it. That's -6 plus 2. That's -4 in. And then we have 24. What's my variable? It's in. What's being done to n? It's being multiplied, so the opposite is divide both sides by -4. And so if you look here, my 4's cancel out, so I got n equals 6. And look, I have one negative, so my answer is going to be negative. One negative, my answer is negative. Okay, just make sure you heard that. So there we go. Number 5. All right, then if you notice, I got parentheses. And usually when there's parentheses, we're going to do some distributing. So we're going to take the 4, and we're going to multiply it to the x, make it 4x. Then we're going to take the 4 and multiply it to the -3, which makes it -12. I don't bother this one. It's not inside the parentheses, so I'm just going to bring it down. Same thing here. Now this one, I'm doing the negative with the 2 because the negative is with the 2. So we're going to say -2 times a -2x. Two negatives when you multiply make a positive. 2 times 2 is 2 or 4, and then we have an x. -2 times a -3 is a +6. All right, look, we have a binomial and one that looks kind of like a trinomial, but it really is not a trinomial. Since these terms are alike, you can see them right here. These terms here are alike. We can put those together. So -12 plus 9, that's -3. All right, so everything else will stay the same. I'm just going to leave it like it is. 4x equals 4x plus 6. All right, here we go. I'm going to subtract. I'm going to subtract the 4x to the other side. We're going this way. Oh, no, let's do the 3. I thought we'd move to 3. I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking. We're going to take the 3 and we're going to go this way. So I'm going to add 3 to both sides. That's 9. This is 0. Bring down my 4x. All right. Subtract both sides by x, 4x. And now look, we got 0 equals 9. Does 0 equal 9? And hopefully you would say no. So the answer is no solution. All right. This is the one with the 0, and we also call it an empty set. Now let's talk about something. What if my numbers were the same? If the numbers were the same, like this, then we would say the answer is all real numbers. Okay. So if there's no variable, but the numbers come out to be the same, we say it's all real numbers. That's the one that looks like the Robin symbol in Batman with the double bar R. All right. All real numbers means that you can pick any number and put it in for X, no matter if it's a fraction, decimal, negative, positive, rational, irrational. Any real number will work and make both sides equal. All right. But in this case, this one is a no solution one, so we don't have that here. All right, let's go to the next one. Number 6, this is the literal equation one. This is the one that gave everybody a little bit of a fit when we were doing these. There's no actual variables here. They want us to solve for B. So we got to pretend B is my variable, just like we did on the other assignment. And we just kind of do the same thing. We do the opposite to both sides, but we're not really going to have a true answer. So here we go. B is being multiplied by 2, and it's being added. Remember, we always go with the sign in front of the letter, added by P. So we always get rid of add and subtract first. So I'm going to subtract P to both sides. So this is going to be A minus P equals 2B. All right. Now, B is being multiplied by 2. So the opposite of multiply is divide both sides by 2. And we're going to divide everything by 2. It's just better that way. And so it looks like these cancel out. So my big B is going to be the area divided by 2 minus the perimeter divided by 2. All right. And that's my answer. We can't do anything to them. That is my answer. Now, you could write the answer A minus P divided by 2, which is okay as well. We're just trying to make sure that we kind of know both of them. Number 7. All right, so number 7, we're asked to find the B. So B is my variable. So I'm going to do this one at a time. You could do both at the same time if you want to, but do everything at the same time. But I'm just going to do it. B is my variable. What's being done to B? It's being subtracted by C. So I'm going to add C to both sides. And I get R plus C equals A minus B. All right, what's being done to B now? The negative goes with the B. So this is really a negative B. But we're going to get rid of the A first. That's a positive A. So we're going to subtract A to both sides. So we have R plus C minus A equals a negative B. Now remember, you can't have a negative variable like this. If you're looking for it, you got it. See, that's a positive b. So we got to make this a positive. So we really divide everything by -1. That's how you really do it. We talked about it in class. But what's the other way? The other way is you just change all the signs. So I'm going to change, I'll put b in front, make it a positive. See how it's negative? So now it's positive. The r is positive, so I'm going to make it negative. The c has a plus in front of it, so it's a negative. That a has a minus in front, we'll make it a positive. And so there's my answer. This is the most common one you're going to see. You're going to see this quite a bit. They're asking us to solve for y, and that's going to be a lot of it. A lot of it we're going to solve for y with these type of problems. This is the general form, all right, of a linear. And so we're going to kind of do this. This is 2x plus 3y equals 9. They want us to find y. So what's being done to y? It's being multiplied by 3, and it's being added by 2x. So we always get rid of the add and subtract first. Well, if it's being added by 2x, we're going to subtract 2x to both sides. So we bring down my 3y, 9 minus 2x. Okay, notice I'm not going to subtract these. These are two different types of terms. They're not common or like terms. They're not like terms, okay? They don't both have an x. If they had an x, both of them, then you could add or subtract them. But this one is a coefficient. This one is a monomial. Remember? Well, they're both monomials, but they're different terms. So we're just going to go ahead and keep going. So what's being done to y? It's being multiplied by 3. What's the opposite of multiply by 3? We're going to divide everything by 3. The 3 divided by 3 makes 1y. So we're just going to put 1y here. 3 goes into 9 3 times. This one, I'm just going to leave. There's the minus there. Sometimes if there's 2, change it to a positive, but there's only 1. So I'm going to say 2/3 and put a little x here. So this right here is my answer. Number 9. Let me rewrite that. I messed up. Okay, so we have the area formula, pi r squared. This is the area formula for a circle. We're asked to find r. All right, r has a square on it. So let's pretend we're just going to solve for r, even with the r square on there. Excuse me. So what's being done to r? Well, yeah, we know it's being squared, but let's pretend like it's part of r. So what's being done to r? It's being multiplied by pi. So the opposite of multiply by pi is divide by pi. My pi's cancel out. So now I have area over pi equals r squared. Now, we talked about it in class. How do you get everything has an opposite? The opposite of plus is minus. The opposite of times is divide. The opposite of a square is the square root. So we're going to take the square root. If we take the square root, we'll get rid of the square. So we're going to take the square root, and I'm going to just do it this way. This is a square root. This is a square root. All right, that will make this just r. All right, and I'm just going to put it right here, r. And then whatever this is, for right now, we're not going to simplify this. We're just going to say it's a over pi, like a fraction inside the square root. Later, we're going to simplify these even more, and you're going to see how to even simplify this even, like a fraction. We're going to simplify it later. But right now, we're going to say that's the answer. And don't forget, when you see a square, the best way to get rid of it is square root to both sides. All right, we have one more. All right, we're asked to find r again. All right, so here we go. R is being multiplied by -2. It's being added by p, and it's being added by 3. All right, so I could do two things at one time, but I'm going to do it slowly. I don't want to rush through this. I want to make sure everybody understands. So r is being multiplied by -3, and you can see plus p, so we're going to say minus p to both sides. Bring down everything. I guess I could have drawn my line all the way across, couldn't I? Bring down, that's a -2r plus 3 equals t minus p. All right, now I'm going to look at r. It's being multiplied by -2 and added by 3. So we're still trying to get rid of the add and subtract first. So the opposite of plus 3 is -3 to both sides. And when I do that, look what I get. Negative 2r, that's a zero pair, equals t minus p minus 3. What's being done to r? It's being multiplied by negative 2. What's the opposite of multiply by negative 2? And we're going to say divide everything by negative 2. That becomes 1. So r equals, now you got to be careful here. See the negative on the bottom, so we can put in the middle. Negative t over 2. 2 negatives here make a positive p over 2. 2 negatives again make it a positive, so it makes it 3 halves. So right there is my answer. That's a fun one, isn't it? So there you go.